Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. I'm Jimmy, we're making it work if you're new here. We're going to do a toolbox tour on my Icon toolbox. It's been about 1.5 years now, and actually it's probably closer to 1 year and 8 months. We're going on 2 years almost since I've had this Icon toolbox. A lot of people hate on them, a lot of people love on them. I don't know what side of the fence you're on, but we're going to take a tour, show you how the slides work, show you what I have in my toolbox, and you guys can decide for yourself. You probably won't change your opinion now, because it's really hard to do. But we'll take a look, see what you think. Let's get into it. I'm going to go through the whole toolbox drawer by drawer, move the camera a little bit closer, adjust the lighting a little bit so we get that cool studio effect everyone likes, right? Show you how I organized it. I still got a lot of work to do. I still move things around on occasion. You know, a toolbox is like an underwear drawer. You know, you're kind of always manipulating things a little bit, see where you want to adjust things to. I'm using this for my electronics, this top drawer. It's pretty deep, so I can keep quite a bit of things in here. Not only test equipment for relays and stuff, but I keep test relays just for trying certain things on cars. If I want to pop a relay in real quick, rather than having them order it up front, I can grab it out of my toolbox. I have almost every kind of relay that I would ever need, along with butt connectors and small tie wraps for electrical wiring stuff. I have both versions of the test relay kits from Mac. I'm not sure who makes them from Mac. I know they don't make their own. It's a rebrand, but they work well for me. This is IPA. These take the place of a relay. You eliminate the control circuits just to see if the input and output of the relay are working. Turn it on, it does the job the relay normally would. Pretty handy for diagnostic stuff. But keep a lot of spare fuses. Obviously, anytime I change a fuse box, I pull all the old fuses out before throwing the old fuse panel away. So I got tons of fuses in here. Again, just to save time going up front, telling them to order me fuses or getting them from inventory. I'm just noticing now this solenoid looks like it's broken. It's not going to serve me any purpose, is it? Don't need it anymore. Anyway. Second drawer down, I keep my wrenches all on this level. These are standard wrenches. I have some Sunex wrenches, Sunex sockets, impact, medium length. And then I bought some Mac Tools Expert Series deep and shallow impact, along with my standard crow's foots. They're not the notched or line wrench types, they're just the open end wrench type. I got some standard gear wrenches, ratcheting wrenches from Gear Wrench. There's a whole set down to what is that, 5/16 and up to 3/4. And then I got some standard line wrenches from Snap-on, SK, Snap-on again, Gear Wrench, Door Last, don't know who that is, Craftsman. So I mean, there's a variety of brands. For the most part, Taiwan, US made stuff, all good stuff. I think this is a Matco 9/16 deep that I used when I did a lot of exhaust. And the Matco man came in for a month or so, and I got him to warranty it out, and haven't seen him since. That was about 3 years ago. But I had broken the 9/16, so I got a new one. And the phone's ringing. My other wrenches we'll get to later. They're in the drawer right across. I keep my wrench drawers on the same level. These are all my metric mostly. There's a few standards sprinkled in. So we'll get to that later though. Keep going down. Third drawer, I got my torque wrench extensions, which these come in handy for odd to get at areas when you can't get behind a bracket or something. They're super handy. They're metric. I also keep my leftover ratchets in there. I got Pittsburgh ratchets. Obviously I just got another ratchet from Lewis in that set of Pittsburgh stuff he sent me. Got my Craftsman ratchet that I've had for years. I mean, this thing's been around with me for a long time. Made in the USA, back when everything Craftsman used to be US made. When I was a young man, they made fun of you for buying Craftsman too. Even though it was US made, they called it cheap junk when I was a kid. They said, why aren't you buying on the tool trucks? It's cheap junk, the Craftsman and Sears stuff. But nowadays people praise it as US made, although it's not all US made anymore. But I got a Carlisle ratchet, a swivel head, long handle. I even have an indexing ratchet from Pittsburgh I bought. Very rarely use it. I've used it a couple of times just because I feel bad that it sits in my toolbox without getting any use. So once in a while I'll take it out and use it. This is an Evolve ratchet from Craftsman. This one you can extend. There it is. It's been so long since I used it, I wasn't sure how it works. So this ratchet's handy because it's multi-use. If you need more leverage, if you need to get in a tighter spot. Some of these ratchets are never used. I just don't want to throw them away because I had them from years ago when I was a kid, or I got them in some kind of a trade deal or found them in a car. Sometimes I'll go up to a customer and say, I found this ratchet under your hood. Is this yours? You want to put it in your trunk or something? They're like, no, I don't know whose that is. You can have it. So I end up with a couple of ratchets here and there from that kind of thing over the years. I've been repairing cars for 41 years, so you're bound to find a tool or two. This one here is a Husky, and it's a flex handle, a bent handle with a flex head, I should say. It's got a little ball index in there, so it'll kind of stay locked, but you can force it if you wanted to. Rarely ever use it, but just another ratchet in my collection that just collects dust for the most part. I don't use it. I got some small ratchets. This one's Matco, this one's Capri, and this one I got, doesn't even say the brand, oh, Titan. This is a Titan brand. Someone was telling me about that. It's an auto parts store brand, I think. But anyway, you can see I've got quite a bit of swivels. I've got gear wrench swivels, I got Tecton swivels. These are VIMs here. These are gear wrench short sockets, and these are X Plus. I can't even see the brand on them. Torx Plus 8EPR, no brand. I don't know what brand those are. They might be Vim, but I'm not really sure. They've been in my box a while without being used, so I lose track of them when I don't use them. Gear wrench. Oh, these, by the way, these Torx extensions are Cornwells, by the way. I've got some Snap-on standard. Yeah, these are Snap-on standard chrome 12 points. Rarely ever need them. Keep them around for when I do. That's all. I've got some miscellaneous sockets tossed in the back here that, again, you know, Workforce, Husky, whatever other brands. I don't hardly ever use them. I keep them around if I need a socket that I'm going to basically destroy or I'm going to need to modify for whatever the case may be. That's what they're there for. I never would throw out a tool. If anything, I might sell it. Some people have gotten mad at me for selling tools too. I said, you know what? If I paid $150 for a tool, it sat in my toolbox for 10 years and I've used it once or twice, and I can get back $80 out of the $150 and someone else might use it, I'd rather do that. But if I think I might ever use it, then that's a different story. I wouldn't sell it. Oh, and the slides too. Some of the slides, they won't come out quite all the way until you tug on them. This one comes out all the way because I go in there once in a while. The ones I haven't tugged on enough, that last little bit, I still just have to tug on them. You can see the slides are really nice. I mean, these boxes, they have some weight in them. There's full sets of sockets and wrenches and stuff in here. And the slides are nice. I don't have any problems with that. I keep my cutting blades, knives, some odd hex keys and stuff that I never use. Hose cutting tools. Back when I worked at Pep Boys, they used to give you these. They wanted you to have a pocket protector full of cool equipment for testing tires and checking tire tread depths and brake pads and stuff. Got a mirror from Mac Tools years ago. Never use it. I keep it in case I break the ones I do use. A lot of miscellaneous. My favorite scissors are these Milwaukee scissors. These things have been great. If you're going to get a good pair of scissors for upholstery or whatever the case may be, they have serrated teeth on these things, measuring. They're indexed so you can get an idea of up to 4 inches or so, or a little bit past. These scissors have been fantastic. They weren't too expensive either. I don't even know what this is. Oh, a knife. I bought an American flag knife a long time ago. Then occasionally over the years I've gotten gifts, key rings and stuff like that. This is a CarQuest. I think it actually, it has a flashlight in it, but the battery's probably dead. It's been sitting in my toolbox for who knows how many years. More knives. I got my little gear wrench. I think this is a little gear wrench keychain ratcheting wrench. My knife sharpener from my Mac Tools guy. I got that not too long ago. I did a tool haul video on it. We gotta get moving, otherwise this video is gonna take a while. This one I keep all my drill bit stuff, cutting stuff. I got lots of drill bit sets. I got snap-on cobalt bits along with spares that I bought individually from them. I've got inexpensive drill bit sets. I don't even know what brand that is. I think I got that for Christmas one year. Tool House brand. I got that for Christmas one year. It's like a $15 set of drill bits, and there's like 10 of each kind of drill bit in there. Super handy. I only keep them around for when I know I'm going to destroy a drill bit. That's what I mostly use them for. Hole saws. This hole saw is probably off a tool truck too. I don't see the brand on it though. This might be Milwaukee. Made in the USA. Doesn't say on it though. You guys might know just because it's red. I think it's Milwaukee, and I bought it years ago. I think I was putting gauges in one of my hot rods years ago, like a 55 Chevy I was building, and I think the 2 5/8 gauge went in the dash, and that's what this was for, I think. Bosch set, drill bit set I bought not too long ago. Did a tool haul on it maybe 6-8 months ago. Been good. I broke one of the little ones. Haven't gotten it warranted yet. I got little hole saws in here, all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. Brushes. I got a set of Mac bits. These have probably been about the best bang for the buck, I would say. And someone makes them for Mac just like they do for Snap-on. They don't make their own drill bits from scratch. They either get them made from a third party, or they buy out someone else who makes them and put their brand on it. This one I got from my Mac dealer, but it's not a Mac drill bit. Does it even say who makes this drill set for them? I got it from my Mac dealer though. One of you guys might know who makes this. It's one of the more popular brands, he told me. I don't remember. And I keep my step bits from Harbor Freight along with miscellaneous drill bits, gigantic step drill bits. I think this is a 5/8. You know, a whole bunch of miscellaneous bits in there. Next drawer. This is where I keep my files, chisels, my electric die grind set, and all my little bits and flapper discs and cut-off wheels and things I might need to fix a broken bracket or something I might find, or get a strip bolt or broken bolt out. I've got my my Matco Tools deburr set. Snap-on files, just for delicate work, doing light duty stuff. And then I got my gear wrench file set. This is an Astro, I believe, punch and chisel set. Let's open this up and see. This was a pretty handy little set. I think it was about 30 bucks. Yeah, Astro pneumatic punch and chisel set. About 30 bucks. I put it in my Amazon store too. This is probably one of the best bang for the buck sets. Astro tools have been pretty good for me. You guys tell me in the comments if you've had good or bad luck with Astro tools, but for me, they've been pretty good, and they're relatively inexpensive. A lot of made in Taiwan stuff, some made in China, some made in the US. So pick and choose at your pleasure, you know. There's no right or wrong. Everyone's gonna row their own boat and do what they need to do for them, right? You can't make those decisions based on what someone else wants you to do. At least not in America. In America, you're allowed to make whatever decision you want. You don't have to do it because someone else told you to. Mac tools, die lights, AC stuff. I keep a set of AC O-rings around. Every time a kit comes with something as extra O-rings, I put them in this container. It saves me another trip up front. Temp gun or infrared, whatever you want to call this thing, digital temp gun. That's super handy. We'll move over to the next part of my toolbox. We'll need the steps to get the camera up there for you guys. I'll show you what we got. The stuff I rarely ever use. Now, if you guys saw my toolbox tour from a while back, before I got this one, I had my Snap-on Epic 84. You saw my freeze plug installer set, oil filter, oil pressure adapter set, miscellaneous things for the GM V6. Getting the valve covers and the gaskets and stuff out, intake gaskets out from under the push rods on the GM V6s. I got spare tool organizing stuff in here, staple gun, valve grinding, valve lapping tool, windshield urethane cutting tool. I've built a lot of cars over the years, so I have some odd tools like this that most mechanics probably wouldn't have, because most mechanics aren't pulling windshields out of cars. So This drawer doesn't get used much, so it's tighter. Weather pack electrical connectors, because I built so many hot rods, I keep these around. Anytime I got a project, I can grab one of these connectors. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think they go up to 6 pin or so. Test equipment for Ford diesel valve cover gaskets for testing. Miscellaneous stuff, you know, there's anything I'm not going to use a lot, like a voltage regulator tester, alternator voltage regulator tester, things like that. I just put it up here so I have it when I need it, and I don't need it very often. I made some grounds for project vehicles and stuff. I got those laying around. I got ground wires that I started making and haven't finished, and I save things that come on a project or on a part. If I don't need it for the car, I just keep it in case I need it for a project. Next drawer, as we go lower, it's a little more commonly used stuff like my oil filter wrenches, strap wrenches, pipe cutting tools, Colorado brake components, brake tools so you can spread the spring on the Colorado brakes, coil spring inside compressor, heavy duty rivet gun, light duty rivet gun, cam holding tools, which I don't hardly ever use anymore. We don't do many timing belts anymore. Everyone's gone to timing chains. This box, I got my harmonic balancer pullers, a master harmonic balancer puller set, my pneumatic fan clutch set, my inner tie rod tool set. There's room in here for more tools, but I just haven't put anything in there yet. Haven't needed to. This drawer, as we get lower, front end stuff. This is the Toyota AC line plastic cover tool that you have to like release the tabs to get it open, to pull the lines apart. Spark plug socket set, which I rarely ever go into that. It's actually very rare for me to need that thing. My 110 soldering iron, quick disconnect set. Let's move over to the other side of the top box before we get into the bottom, where most of the magic happens. Empty drawer. More electrical wiring and things I don't want to throw away, some connectors, LED lights. When I built my 49 Chevy, I put check engine lights and turn signal lights all using LEDs so that it worked like a factory car, but without having to buy the factory dash assembly. If you buy like some of these dash assemblies, like $1,500–1,800 bucks. So I custom built my own dash cluster, and that's what I use those for. More testing equipment in there too, but stuff I rarely would ever use. Miscellaneous drawer, not really much of anything in there except some odd sanding stuff, disposable brushes, things like that. Pinstriping, I've done some pinstriping and stuff. That's just the tape. Sometimes I paint pinstriping on cars, but only my own stuff. Timing lead I used today on that 74 truck. 110 heat gun. People were talking about my Milwaukee gun not doing the job, and I should get a 110 version. They're way cheaper. I already have one. I just don't use it a lot because I have to plug it in. It's a little bit of a hassle. Brake fluid funnel for cars where the master cylinder is tucked under the firewall. A mini funnel. Turkey baster for when master cylinders are overfilled. I could actually put a lot more in that drawer. Same thing with this one. I got my miscellaneous stuff. I got some hatchets and knives. My overflow of hammers. Since Rob brought me some Icon hammers, I put these hammers in this drawer. My Chevy Truck Legends tape measure, brand new, never used it. I just put it in here for safekeeping. Last drawer in the top box is my hardware drawer. I condensed. These two drawers used to have all hardware in them. I condensed them down to this one drawer. And I keep some handy stuff, clamps, engine O-rings, vacuum tees and fittings. Studs and nuts I just keep for my own use. I don't really, if we're going to do something like that for a customer's car, I would order it. But I keep large washers and stuff in here if I need them for spacers, for pulling something on or off. And I put some important spacers and type stuff and cotter pins because I'd hate Rain Man Ray to see me using old cotter pins over again. Alright guys, this big drawer is my socket drawer, which is the most common drawer most guys I think would use for their sockets. And I don't pull it out all the way often, so I need to pull it out all the way. That's all the way. And once you've pulled these out a couple of times to get to the back, then they come all the way out. I mean, you can see I'll do this with one finger. You can pull it all the way out. The slides do not, people say the slides stop underneath and you can't pull them all the way out. It's just not true. I don't think that they're malicious when they say it. They just don't know any better because they went to Harbor Freight and tugged on it and the drawers didn't come out. But if you give them a little extra tug and wiggle and they'll come all the way out, and once you've done it a few times, they'll come out every time. But the reason this drawer didn't come out just then is because I rarely have to pull it all the way out. The only time I would is for the socket back here. Because even if it's in all the way here, I can grab this socket, I can grab 90% of the things in here. I don't have to pull it out all the way, so it doesn't really even matter. But on a rare occasion I do, I can. So anyone that tells you the Icon toolboxes don't come out all the way, they're misinformed. So let's show you what we got here. I keep my Capri shallow impacts right here up front. They're easy to get to, metric and standard. Then I got my larger axle sockets and stuff like that, and they get a little smaller as we go over, a little more specialty. Stud tools, stud sockets, some swivels. These are the odd size swivels that I don't use a lot. I didn't want to put them in my cart because I don't need a 22mm shallow swivel very often, so I put it in this box. Oil sender sockets, oxygen sensor sockets. Someone was asking about this the other day. This is SP Tools Schley Products 93750B. This is the best best O2 sensor socket I've ever had. This thing does not flex, doesn't spread. The cheap Snap-on one I had, it wasn't cheap, it was super expensive on the truck. And I think I sold it. Yeah, I sold it. I had the Snap-on one with the open end. It looks like a line wrench. And anytime I come across a really tight oxygen sensor, it would just go blunk and spin around. 12 points. The chrome one, because the set I have here from Mac, it was missing one. And I got a chrome one, gear wrench 21. It was missing a 21. It goes from 19 to 22. And someone actually sent me another one too, but it was in 1/2-inch drive, which I use on occasion actually in place of the 3/8 drive one. It comes in pretty handy. Magnetic. These are the EP Torx, I believe. They got rounded corners. I hate that they do that to us guys, that they have like 5 different kinds of Torx now. It's pathetic. They do it just to sell us tools, I believe. The tool manufacturers and the car manufacturers are in cahoots. They have to be. I mean, they wouldn't have that many different kinds of Torx. I remember when they first came out with them, they said it was so robots could build cars. And then they came out with a different version, another different version, another different version. I don't know if the robots couldn't figure it out or what, but this I got as a gift from my dad. Handy little ratchet, bit set, sockets and stuff. Nice little kit. This actually comes in super handy when you need it. This little bit set from Gear Wrench. One of them fell. But it's got spline drive, Torx, regular Phillips and flat blade screwdrivers, Allens. I mean, super handy little set, and they mount into a wrench or a ratchet wrench, so you can turn them all into ratchet sockets. I mean, it's super handy little kit. I don't use it a ton, but when I do need it, man, it's nice to have that. I got my long bits, long Allens, long metric and standard. These are Torx, long ones. Oil filter socket sets. I mean, oil for the housings and stuff like that. You guys might have some of these, I don't know. You can see they're basically brand new. I've used them a couple times. I have them just because I've come across a couple that was so weird I couldn't get a conventional socket in there, so I bought these so they're a little shorter and they fit on the big plastic fittings and stuff like that. I got my European sockets, impact sockets. These are Pittsburgh. I've got plenty of brands of those. My buddy Schmuckatelli sent me a set of Lyle Torx, but they're over in my cart. I got the Blue Point ball Torx, which were in my tools I shouldn't have bought video. But, you know, it's like some people said, which I agree. You know, you buy the weird stuff and you have it, and someday you're going to go, man, I think I have something for that, and you're going to dig out that unusual tool you don't use that much, you know. I got my little Vim mini ratchet. This does bits, and it has a 1/4-inch adapter for doing, and you can also even put a longer ratchet on it to make a indexing ratchet out of it. It's one of those things, you know. It'll be handy to have someday, I hope. I broke one of my gear wrench ball hexes working on that NPR box truck last week, if you saw that video not long ago. Bolt biter sockets, things like that. More, come off of there. Okay, these are gear wrench as well. Metric ball hexes. These ones that I broke were standard. So quite a bit in this drawer. This is my go-to drawer. If I'm leaving my cart and coming to my toolbox for something, it's usually something in this drawer. Let's go down to the next one, which should be wrenches. Quite a bit of wrenches in here, not as many as some. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people on YouTube with twice as many or 4 times as many wrenches as I have, but I think I have too many wrenches because I don't use 70% of them. You know, I got these long gear wrench ratchet wrenches. It's got an offset box on one side. Does that show up? Got an offset box on one side and a ratchet on the other side, and you just flip it over to go the other direction. I've used these a few times. They've come in handy for some things, mostly like belt tensioners and stuff like that, but it's something I can get by without. I didn't really need to buy them. I got the stubby gear wrench ratchet wrenches. Again, rarely use them. Nice to have them for when you're gonna need them though, so you know when you do. Skeeta tool. I don't even know where I got this one. Probably came with a piece of furniture or something, I'm not sure. Miscellaneous wrenches, offset wrenches. These are Craftsman wrenches made in USA, offset 12-point boxes. That's another one of those tools that super handy when you do finally need it. Line wrenches, or what do you call them, crow's feet, but when they're it's a line wrench crow's foot, I guess. These are snap-on. This I used to have, you know, back when I really felt like snap-on was the only way to go, and my dealer had me convinced I was getting good deals from him. Then this was all snap-on wrenches, other than my big Craftsman wrenches, because I couldn't see spending $80 for one snap-on wrench, so I bought the big Craftsman, you know, forged in USA tools. And these wrenches I use mostly for air conditioning and stuff like that, and they're super handy. There's no need to buy a snap-on wrench for 1 5/16" aluminum line. This thing is perfectly capable of ripping a nut off an AC line and with no problem. You guys that work on industrial equipment and stuff and need giant wrenches, then maybe you can justify the box truck, the tool truck brand wrenches for something that big. But for me, it's just, there's no real purpose. Gear wrench, line wrenches. I'm actually using one of them today. Came in real handy on that Jeep AC condenser I was doing. Some really big monster wrenches, which you can't get anymore. The company changed its name because they were getting sued by the energy drink manufacturer a lot, and they finally bankrupted them, so they changed the name of the company to something else. I'm not even sure which company it's under now. Got a couple sets of stubby wrenches. Those Sky wrenches I bought to do a tool haul video on about 1.5 years ago when I first started my YouTube channel, and I don't think I've ever used them, except I think I may have used the 10mm a couple times, and maybe I think only the 10mm, possibly the 6 or 7. I want to say I used the second wrench out of it. I forget which one, but that set was like $15.99 on Amazon like 1.5 years ago. Miscellaneous stubby wrenches. Some of them are Craftsman, some are Snap-on, some are unbranded. Me and M. Leeser were joking about this one here. He has the same one. It's a CRV brand because there's no brand on it. That probably came from an auto parts store or something like that. Huskies. I mean, anyone that tells you a stubby 10mm wrench has to come off the tool truck is lying to you. They just want to sell you a tool or get you to buy what they bought so they feel better. You're not going to put a lot of torque on something like this. Where a good wrench would probably come in handier is it would have a smaller head. There'd be less material there, so it might fit in somewhere a little better, although I've never had a problem using that kind of thing, using the inexpensive brands for that. More gear wrenches. Got standard, metric, different sizes. I'm missing a couple sizes on these. I'm not sure why. I think I meant to get them and I never have gotten around to it. I'll try to do that tomorrow when my gear wrench guy comes in. Capri thin wrenches. I really like these wrenches. Super handy on brake jobs and weird things where you can't get a normal size wrench in. These are not heavy duty. They're not made for doing head bolts and things like that. But they are made out of good material. I believe these are laser cut instead of forged. You can see how perfectly flat they are when you look down the wrench. I mean, it's perfectly flat. There's no shape to it at all, so they're probably laser cut. But for what they're intended for, they're great. The finish is nice. They hold up pretty well. I've used them on quite a few brake jobs. The standard metric set was about 150 bucks or so. I got these Sunex. They were on my gear wrench tool truck guy's truck, and he made me a good deal on them. He had the whole set, and he says, they're not selling. You want to buy them? So I bought them. I've used them a couple times. This 13, I believe, and maybe the 10, I want to say, but you know, I think it was a 17 to 13 I used. But another tool that, you know, it'll sit here, and one day I'll really need it for something. Because if you can't swing a regular open end wrench with this, you can turn it to this one to get a different angle of attack on whatever you're working, whatever fastener you're working on. It's just another option, because you can flip the wrench this way and this way, and you can do this and this. So if you can't get something that's not quite finger tight, this is perfect. To get it to loose enough to where it's finger tight, it's perfect. So it'll come in handy plenty of times. It can sit there for a while, I don't mind. And I got my Crescent adjustable wrench. I use this a lot for alignments, comes in handy. I think these are old Matco. Yeah, I bought these from Matco years ago. I've probably had these 25 years. Those are for bleeders and things like that. I probably bought them when I worked at Pep Boys in the 90s. Next drawer. That's my screwdriver drawer. I got Mayu. I got gear wrench. That's actually a gasket scraper. I've got the rest of my gear wrench gasket scraper set in my tool cart. Schmuckatelli sent me my snap-on screwdriver, pocket screwdriver in orange, which is one of my, orange and red are my favorite colors, by the way. Tons of pocket screwdrivers, and I have like 40 more of them that I don't keep them all in here. Vessel screwdriver set. Love this screwdriver set. Probably the best screwdriver set I've had. Definitely the best I've had in value. And as far as durability, they're full tang. You can hammer on the back. They don't deny your warranty because you use them as a chisel or unhammered on them. They're actually made to be hammered on. They're full tang, like a quality knife. It goes all the way through, and the handle's just so you can grip it. Where like the Snap-on and other brand, tool truck brand screwdrivers, they usually have knurling on the end of this, and it ends about here. And it's just shoved into a plastic handle. So if you hammer on it, you split the handle or shove it down on the screw bit, and they cost $200 for a set. These are like $86. So very good set. If you're going to get screwdrivers and you need some decent quality screwdrivers, very good set. The handle's adorable, the tip's adorable, the warranty is good. They can be hammered on. And I got my old Craftsman screwdrivers when I was a kid. I've used these obviously painting my house and stuff like that, and not cleaned them off before the paint dried. But I probably could. Some of this, yeah, some of the stuff will flake off. I've used these for, you know, when I was a Snap-on guy, and me and Mr. Subaru got along a little better because we all love Snap-on. I'm just kidding. But back then, when I thought Snap-on was the only way to go, I'd use my Craftsman screwdrivers to stir paint and body filler and stuff. I didn't care about them because I thought they were junk. But here it is, you know, 30 years old, 40 years old. These are Snap-on Torx bits, long shank. I actually like these tools. They've come in pretty handy for dash work and things like that. Some steering columns, the screws are deep recessed into the plastic covers on the steering column, shroud or whatever you want to call it. Come in handy. Next drawer. That would be my plier drawer. Tons of different brands of pliers in here. Some of them are cheap, some of them are not so cheap. Some of them are Mac, vice grips. This is just for pulling exhaust hangers off, pushing the metal rod out of the rubber biscuits and stuff like that. Mayu hose clamp pliers, Snap-on snap ring pliers, cable crimpers, CV boot crimpers. If you guys saw my tool haul, I think it was last week, not long ago, the Muller Keps tie rod tool. I just used it the other day in one of my videos in Day in the Shop. My Lang snap ring plier set I got from JDT Co. It was on sale, super handy set, worked great too. Mac Tools snap ring pliers. So I got quite a variety of tools in here. I'm not sure who makes these. I probably had these from when I was a kid. There's no brand on them that I can see. They might be SK based on the color of the handles. Same thing with these. What do you guys think? What do you think that brand is? You think you can tell what this says? I can't tell. But there's tons of that kind of stuff. This might be Snap-on. This is old. And you see it's rusting and everything. It's through the chrome. Honestly, this is probably one of the first Snap-on cutters I bought, I want to say. About circa 1986-87, I want to say probably. But it's totally a guess. I could be wrong. You guys tell me if that's a Snap-on. It looks like it, but it's rusted a little too much to say. I'll have to clean these off and give you guys an update on what brand it was. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave them out and do that. This third drawer down, from my big drawers, that's how I reference things. I got my 2 big drawers, and then with 3 drawers down from the big drawers. This is where I keep my miscellaneous but fairly commonly used tools. Like I use this distributor wrench today, line removal tools for like diesel trucks and stuff like that, which we try not to work on too much anymore. When I do a window regulator to hold the glass up, I use this airbag, which is really made for unlocking cars when you leave the keys in them and things. And I got some other miscellaneous tools like for truck brake springs, seal puller tools, brake adjuster tools, cam holder tools, seal remover tool, battery terminal cleaner that's pretty wore out. I replaced it and just kept this. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. This compresses a door spring, door hinge spring on a GM. It'll do it on any brand, I guess, but I bought it initially to use it on GM cars because you're always doing the pin bushings and stuff on the GM S10s and Camaros. They'd wipe out those bushings. Pullers, flaring tools, air hammer stuff. That's Mac. That's Mac. This is a power steering puller set. Suspension forks. I don't recommend using suspension forks on cars unless you're replacing the parts you're suspension forking, because it really suspension forks the hell out of them. It damages them pretty good. It'll rip the boots and things mostly, but it'll also put marks in the studs and stuff on the ball joints. And also, I use them sparingly, but I do use them if I'm replacing parts. I want to get that thing apart. You know, those are my long Snap-on air hammer bits. I keep around just in case you can't quite reach something and you want to do it from far away. They make extended reach air hammer bits, and that's what those are for. Those grinding sets for head porting when I was building racing engines and stuff for my cars, my own personal vehicles. This is my tap and die set drawer. Quite a bit of cool stuff in here. Snap-on tap and dies, the Star spindle set, Snap-on thread chaser set. I forget who makes this for Snap-on, but there are other versions of the same kit, probably a lot cheaper. SBRT set in the background here. Keep the gloves on it so it doesn't get dusty, because it was like 230 bucks and I've never used it. I tried to use it a couple of times. From what I'm hearing, it's not made for stripped Allen bolts. It's made for good ones so that they won't strip, but it seems to chew them up quite a bit when you try to use it, so I basically just don't use it. If I get one that my Allen tools won't take out, I'll pull it out, but it hasn't happened yet. So Snap-on hacksaw. People think I hate Snap-on so bad I can't stand the sight of their tools. It's just not the case, guys. I got plenty of Snap-on tools still. I've sold off a lot of them. I'm not going to sell off the ones that I'm going to totally lose my butt on and buy another one that costs the same or more new. If I sell those Snap-on tap and die sets, then I have to go out and buy another tap and die set. And if I get 150 bucks for those and have to spend 150, 200 bucks to replace them, it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just, where I can sell stuff and get a good chunk of my money back, I did. And I bought a different brand and put the money back in the bank because I felt a little silly for how much I had spent, you know. So I'm trying to undo some of it. But I still think Snap-on makes great tools. I just think you got to be real careful about which you pick. There's this, again, the slide's pretty good, huh? I mean, people say that Icon toolbox is going to be gone in no time. The slides are junk. You can't get parts for it. It's going to rust away because of Chinese steel. But I hope some people don't realize that a lot of these other tool truck brands are importing their steel and plastics from China and then forging them here. So just be aware, guys. It's just, you know, especially, and I don't really care about any of that stuff, but if you're going to spread hate, at least be informed, you know. Mac Tools slide hammer set and the Big Bertha slide hammer I bought. If you guys watch my day in the shop video, I did hub bearings on an Explorer, and they were so brutal, and I got some arthritis in my hands. You see that finger doesn't close with the others, and I used that little slide hammer, and it took like 300 whacks to get that bearing out of the hub. So then I bought the big one, and it takes it down to 10 or 12 whacks to take the bearing out of the hub. Air drill, Pitman arm tools, my fuel tank tools. I got this not too long ago in a tool haul. Mac inner tie rod tool. This is super handy too. You could use it for even adjusting tie rods probably, as long as they're big enough to fit. It'll turn anything. Wiper arm removal tools, valve spring compressors, steering column. This compresses the lock ring on a GM steering column, so that you can pull the retainer ring out and get that apart. Got another gas tank tool in here. Moving along. Some more electrical stuff. Bump starter. If you're by yourself, you don't have an assistant, you can hook this to the starter to crank it over to do compression. Just about whatever you need, really. Sometimes you do valve adjustments. That's mostly what I used it for back in the day, is valve adjustments. I'd click the motor over until the valve, as soon as you see the exhaust valve closing, you know they're ready to be adjusted, right? Taps, wire crimping and cutting tools, stripping tools. I don't even know who makes this one. It's been in here forever. I haven't used it. Made in USA. Who makes it? OTC. Might be hard to see, but it's OTC, made in USA. I bought this because sometimes you can't quite get a straight crimping tool up somewhere to crimp a wire. So this one you can go along the length of the wire and crimp it. And I actually have used it a few times, but it's been a while. Side post adapters for charging when the cables aren't hooked up and that kind of thing. Fuse buddies. If you need to get power out of your power outlet, power and ground, plug that in there. More test leads for the voltmeter. This drawer here, I just keep miscellaneous stuff. Multi-tool, lens wipes, miscellaneous photographs and things. Little deodorant. You got a hot date for lunch. My wife's going to meet me for lunch. I'll splash a little deodorant on the old pits. I want to smell like an animal. The Icon box comes with a power drawer, and this is my power drawer. I got a Canon battery charging. It also, my Milwaukee charger's in there. My JBL speaker charger. I keep a whole bunch of chargers in here. My JBL headphones are charging right now. My Streamlight flashlight is charging. There's plenty of outlets and USB ports in there. Super handy. My tool drawer. See, if you don't pull that out all the way, and it's hard to get out all the way. But once you pull it out all the way, now I can close it and it'll come out all the way. But that's all my impacts, my spare batteries that are charged. Once I charge them up, I drop them in the drawer below. If I need a battery for a power tool, I go in there to get it. I'm set. My extended reach ratchets, my right angle drill, which I've yet to use. I've played with it a little bit, but never really used it in my daily job deal. My regular drill, which this thing's an animal. I drag it on stuff while I'm drilling, and it doesn't slow it down at all. It has a side handle and strap you can mount on it because it's got so much torque that it will hurt you if you're not careful. My heat gun, a little bit of a disappointing tool, but it works. Like my die grinders, I criticize them because they're weak, but they work, you know, and they're portable. That's the main thing about them. So they do the job and they're portable. The last thing in my toolbox tour here, and this is one of the reasons I got an Icon toolbox. Let me get my lighting a little bit here. One of the reasons I got an Icon toolbox is because I had asked my Snap-on dealer about a side locker, and I said, with the power drawer, which the Icon box, you just saw the power drawer. But he said the side locker with a power drawer was like almost $6,000. I said, what? I was thinking $2,000, $3,000 would be a lot. $6,000. So this whole Icon setup was less than that. So anyway, my locker I use for my camera gear's in here. Keep my lunchbox in here. My drone, my shirts, my camera gear. There's plenty of room. So that's why I don't need a hutch. I use this as my hutch basically. Plus everything's private, it's enclosed, it doesn't look as rubbishy, you know. But I also keep plenty of my tools in here, especially my daily use, more expensive stuff is in this locker. It's easy to lock the locker, you know. I did change all my locks so they all match. It was like 20 bucks for a lock kit. I got my Snap-on Modus Ultra in here. I sold Joe my Edge, some cash in the Edge, and he gave me this. The other way around. He gave me this and some cash for my Modus Edge. So the Modus Ultra works good. I'm using it mostly for the scope. And in older cars, it's still a perfectly good scanner up to about 2015, 2016. I got my TOPDON Phoenix Lite 2, which has been the best bang for the buck in the scan tool that I've had my entire career. In a $700 range. And it has very good capability on most things I've come across. I haven't found something that I really needed to do and it wouldn't yet. I couldn't get in a patch system on a Ford, but we found out that the programming was corrupted, and when they reprogrammed the module, it let it work. But anyway, I also have my my infrared Klein Tools temp probe, and I keep some inexpensive, like my Think Diag. This works off my cell phone. My Blue Driver works off my cell phone. Super handy if I'm going to go on a road test. Instead of bringing a laptop or tablet with me, I can use these with my cell phone. Don't look at it while you're driving though. I keep my red nose in here. If anyone ever tells you I'm a clown, don't believe them. It's not true. My OTC 1 scan tool's in here. Someone was busting my balls saying that I can't diagnose cars unless it has an OBD2 port. Baloney, this is for OBD1, so there you go. Electrical stuff down here. Like my power probe. I got my Snap-on amp clamp. This is the power probe adapter set. Comes with all the little feet, which I keep them in my cart. Extensions and other adapters. A different brand amp clamp. This is an expensive one I bought. Super handy though. You don't have to hook up your voltmeter and your scope and all for that one. I can just clamp this thing on a battery cable and get a rough idea. This is pretty good as long as it's not down to really, really precise measurements. This is pretty good to, I guess, about 25 millivolts. Anything below that, or milliamps, anything below that, then I hook up the more elaborate setup. Takes a little bit more time to get that done. This is an adapter to use the power probe without hurting computers on 5-volt systems. Terminal release set. Compression, cylinder leak down tester, ignition analyzer. This shows you coil and spark patterns and things like that. Super handy tool. I got the manual spark checker set. In the last drawer, fuel pressure gauge set, which the hinge is broke on this thing. Kind of disappointed. I got it on the Mack truck, and then I found out, I think I paid like $349, and I found out it's a rebrand that's like half the price, or 130 bucks. But the Mac man will warranty it for me if I have problems with it, so that's the good news. You pay a little more money, and you get better service, right? I'm really disappointed about the lid though. I have to ask them to see if that's warranted, if they can get me another case, because it's a real sketchy to pick it up out of here and hope it doesn't fall on the ground. And I've already done it. Dropped everything across the whole shop and had to find all the fittings and stuff. Vacuum gauge set, spare coils just for testing real quick. This is another ignition tester for when DIS first came out. I got that in the 90s. Matter of fact, who makes that? That's Snap-on. Noid lights for testing fuel injectors, see if they're getting power and ground. They'll blink like in place of the injector. Well, you could use a scope for that too and watch the injector ramp a little bit better. There it is. The Icon Toolbox Tour. Thanks for watching my toolbox tour. I hope you enjoyed it. The Icon Toolbox has been serving me well. I really like the toolbox. It's still kind of expensive, honestly. But compared to the tool truck brands, it's not expensive at all. So it depends on what you're going for. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, if you're a high-end, you have your own shop, your own house, you got your own, you work on your own cars in the back in a barn or a converted garage or whatever the case may be. You like higher-end toolboxes. The US General toolboxes I think are great in my opinion from what I've seen, especially for the prices. The Icon is just a step up above that. The slides are a little bit better, the metal's a little bit heavier, the capacity and the casters are a little bit higher. It's not something you have to have as a do-it-yourselfer, but it is a professional level toolbox. And, you know, the haters can hate on them all they want. They don't know any better. Some people talk about the drawers not opening completely and the slides are junk, and in 5 years that toolbox will be rusted away. I don't really know where the hate comes from. I think a lot of people, if they spent, you know, 15, 20, 30 grand on a toolbox, they have nothing they can do other than hate on anything that was cheaper because they have to justify the money they spent. And I think that's where most of it comes from. It's not about hate. It's not about you did this and I did this and you're dumb and I'm smart. I'm showing you guys what I think and what's happened for me. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. It's been my pleasure having you. Maybe if you enjoyed it enough, you'll torque the like button. You could even subscribe if you like. There's no charge for any of that stuff, right? So I appreciate you guys. I hope I see you in the next video because you're awesome.